All right, then, and we are live. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, wherever you happen to be. Welcome to another edition of the Living World of Darkness right across New York. The scene is set within the North Meadows recreational area. It's not necessarily a veil-protected portion of the park, or the Central Park, the Sept of the Green, whatever you want to call it, but it's definitely a gathering place for a load of different people, both human, mundanes, kinfolk, and more recently, a very, very heavy police presence that is starting to become, well, a little bit cumbersome to circumvent. But Lucas, being as wily as he's always been, being in these situations more times than he can possibly freaking count, has come up with a good counter. At this moment, Lucas is currently on the basketball courts. He's weaving, he's bopping, and he's looking at Maeve, who he went ahead and ran out, or at least had one of his sisters of the tribe run out to get different garments, different arrangement, a different garb, basically sportswear that Maeve probably never donned before. She looks very much out of place, but Lucas, for his part, he is that wiry white kid that thinks he is good at basketball simply because he can do a three-pointer. Don't get me wrong, he definitely has the moves when he needs them, but I will not go any further into that particular explanation. Suffice it to say, he's currently got 2 up on Maeve when playing horse.
No, it would probably help if Maeve knew what she was doing. She might have bounced the ball a time or two before they started, but yeah, her ability to handle the ball in the least is up for question, really. It would help too, perhaps, if she understood the rules of the game, but that is another area in which she is lacking. And as such, feeling awkward already in what Lucas may insist are sport shorts, but these are awfully small. She's struggling. She's still having a good time, but she's definitely a far cry from proficient in the game. And just as when they're running about playing chase in any other situation, the chances of her getting the ball away from Lucas when he's not feeling especially generous are pretty low. She's perhaps made a couple shots at the basket, but probably not a single actual successful score as of yet. Still, she's being a sport about it. She's doing her best to keep up. She's probably hip bumped him a time or two to try to throw him off so she could get the ball away, and then immediately lost control of it and had it skitter off the off of the blacktop. And so as of yet, she's just kind of chasing him about the court. Lunge?
Sidewinds. What?
Damn it.
Maeve lunges. Lucas goes ahead and twirls around, bypassing her. Taking 1, 2, 3 scoops. Jump. Misses the basket. Fuck.
Runs pell-mell after the ball, at least. Controlling the ball seems to be good, so she'll haul after it, and she might even get it. And then perhaps 3 bounces later, it's out of her hands. Not necessarily because Lucas is able to intervene so quickly, but because she's not even really good at bouncing the darn thing. So she'll bounce it 2 or 3 times, look a little brighter, having succeeded even that far, and then immediately lose control of the ball.
Ball goes ahead and bounces a little bit too high. Her hand is not quite in the right position when Lucas's hand goes ahead and grabs it from midair, brings it back down low, and I believe Maeve is trying to like stretch out her hands, like, no, you can't make it. You can't make it
She's
from
just
here.
outright trying to snatch the ball, probably with both hands, just because she doesn't necessarily understand that that's against the rules.
Or it throw. Actually, I'll roll for this one. Could always botch. Do. Yeah, that's right. Number of dice. Nope. No botches here. Quite a number of successes. Swish. And that's E.
She'll just kind of pause to put her hands on her knees and pant a bit because it's been quite an exertion trying to keep up, and just shake her head. Told you I wouldn't be good at this.
Maybe, but no. You. Let me go ahead and he'll walk over to the ball, pick it up, not necessarily bounce it, just hold it under his arm, walk back to Maeve. Not too bad for a first time.
I'll pretend it totally is believable.
You know, I still find it hard to believe you never played a basketball or touched a basketball or been on a court.
And if he'll let her, she'll just kind of take the ball and roll it around in her hands and kind of just shake her head. Well, no, I mean, I didn't. I told you I didn't go into town often, and when we did, we didn't really take time. I mean, I know how to play some games, but not real sports, really.
But what games do you know how to play? And he's just going to go ahead and start walking off the court towards one of the benches, lift his foot up, lean against it, and start to retie his shoelaces.
She'll follow along and plop herself down on the bench and shrug. I mean, I don't know. We didn't really play organized baseball per se, but we played it a little bit. And when the family came over for 4th of July, we'd put up a net. And, well, I didn't necessarily get into the volleyball, but it was fun.
You say you play volleyball?
A little bit.
Well, over there, he sort of gestures onto the other side of the courts of the recreational center. I believe they have a sand pit, and I believe they usually play volleyball over there. You want to try that?
She'll nod.
All right, cool. Let me go ahead and put this back in, rotate it out for a volleyball. You go over there and get prepared.
Pardon. She'll offer the ball back and nod and traipse that away.
It's a few seconds until mighty dear Lucas over here goes ahead and produces the white volleyball, walks back over to Maeve, sort of hands her the ball and says, why don't you serve first? Show me that you actually played this game before.
She'll wince a little at the idea of serving first, but she'll still take the ball in good spirits and go on over to her corner of her side of the court. And let's see how good she does. What should I? Dex Athletics for these, I assume?
Yep, that's what I've been doing.
Well then, we will, she'll traipse over there and hold the ball in her palm, give it a quick toss up, and then bring both hands together to try to affect a perhaps not especially well practiced, but hopefully competent serve. Aha.
Definitely a confident serve. You go ahead and serve it up and over the net. Lucas not really expecting it to go over the net. Hesitates for a single second. This is not his game. He'll try to dive, try to bring it back up, and increase the difficulty up by 1, simply because this is not his game. You know what? It's not his game. Those are 2 10s. All right, so he serves it back quite handily, back over the net. Big, wide, and high arc, actually.
And she's shuffled forward a bit into more of the center of her area, of her side of the net, and she'll jog a couple steps and stretch a hand out to slap the thing back over. Probably actually more bump it with a fist to swing it back over. Let's see how well she recovers from him being that good. Oh no, she manages to maybe bump it with her knuckles, and as such, not only have it hit the dirt, but have it just fly out of the out of the volleyball court, and just kind of huff and take off after it. Must retrieve ball.
Foul.
And she'll pout her lip as she gets back and roll it across to him.
All right. He'll go ahead and start to back up to his side of the volleyball court towards that particular corner. Again, this is not his game. I'll try to serve it underhand. Do. 2 successes. For Christ's sakes, I'll never roll this good ever again. It goes more in a conservative arc, 45-degree angle art over the net.
Well, that should be easy enough. She'll just shuffle into place, get her hands together, and prepare to bump it back over. And she does so with reasonable grace, in fact. In fact, she might even get it a little further from his side of the court so that he'll have to do a little bit of a shuffle to get to it.
Oh, yeah, it goes on to the other side of the court from Lucas. He goes, shoot, tries to dash his over there as quickly as possible. Let's see. What? Cat? It even freaking matches. Yeah. He rushes over to the other side of the court, goes ahead and brings his hands together. Hands together into double fist, and goes ahead and tries to bop it back way over. Again, this is a very conservative and wide arc, pretty much towards the center of the ring.
She is going to make an attempt. Well, this is a fairly high arc, so maybe not this round. But she's going to try to position this next one to force him to make a more immediate action, maybe not get as high a arc on his next. Ooh, yes, she does quite well. She's going to try to maneuver him to where he's forced to get a little further from the net so that perhaps his next shot will come a little closer to the net.
All right. He's got to rush. He's got to sprint to where this ball is going. He's actually going to try to rush the net so that it doesn't get too far away. Going to try to go ahead and just slam it back down. Doesn't quite make it. Flies over his head, actually, and goes ahead and lands, well, in that corner he went ahead and started the serve from.
She'll give a little fist pump of victory.
Lucas is going to go ahead and rush over, retrieve the ball, throw it over to Maeve. Your serve.
All right. She's looking a little more enthusiastic now that they're playing something she understands how to play. And she'll trot back over to her corner more energetically and pop it up for a serve. She'll try to use a little more finesse this time than last and go for an overhand serve. And just barely manages to get it over the net. In fact, it very probably bumps the net on its way across.
Yep. Rush. Doesn't get it. It tips over the net, goes ahead and falls right in front of Lucas, like 5 feet away. Grabs ball, throws it back over. Goes ahead and yells, 10 love.
And she'll again catch it, trot back over, and this time, she's feeling a little better about it. We're gonna go for the overhand again. Let's see how bad this can possibly go. Oh, it goes great.
Where does the ball go this time?
She'll aim again for the far side of the court just to make him do a little running.
Run, run, run. Oh.
He's got it like a boss.
Again, he has it like a boss. Again, he'll go in for the double fist maneuver and hit it just on his forearms. And when he goes ahead and pops it, goes ahead and gives a little bit of spin, actually. Try to catch that one.
She'll yell show off and run up to the net and try to see if she can spike it back over before he has time to make up the distance. And there's some debate on whether that's really even much of a success. She probably does the jump, thinking she's going to be all cool and spike it over the net, and misjudges and just barely manages to catch it with a finger, or actually more likely she bumps it a lot further than she meant to and serves it pretty neatly right back to him, which is not what her intention was.
I'll go ahead and take that at a difficulty of 5 then.
Mm-hmm.
I've been going at a difficulty of 7 this entire game.
It's the only reason I'm having a chance to win.
Try to match that. Lucas goes ahead and spots the easy prey. He spots the easy prey. Oh yes, one finger, and the whole palm of Lucas is going to go ahead and slap it right back down. Unless you can get, or even match 6 successes.
There's no way. We'll just say that he comes up and just spikes it right back over the net, and it plummets into the sand with all kinds of momentum, sprays sand up as she just, having been up in a jump herself, just there's no way she can possibly reorient in time. So they'll probably hit the dirt around the same moment, and she'll just look at him like, damn. But she'll pick it up and kind of give a little nod, because that was pretty slick. And just kind of underhand lob it over the net to him.
All right. He'll take it. Love 10 serving. Walks on over to the other side. Let's see. What does he want to do? What does he want to do? He'll go ahead and do another underhand. Pop. Mother. Freaking God. Son of a. Try to match 5 successes.
Let's see if we can do it. Only got 5 dice. Jesus. Nope.
Not quite enough.
Nope. She'll scramble for it and just turf it. She'll actually try to make a dive. I mean, it's sand and everything, so she'll make a dive and turf it, but not quite make the distance.
10-10.
She'll get up, shake some of the sand out of her hair, and pitch it back over.
Okay, Lucas is looking to do something a little bit more tricky this time. Maybe he's trying to challenge himself and make it harder, but he's basically got one hand behind his back as he's going to go ahead and try to serve this single-handedly. Let's see. Let's increase the difficulty even more to at least an 8. Let's see what happens. I'm never going to roll like this ever freaking again. He goes ahead and tosses it up, and what he does, he just goes ahead and head bangs that volleyball and gets it just over the net.
Rushing, rushing, rushing. Well, she'll manage to meet it in just enough time and desperately pop it back over the net.
Let's keep this at a difficulty of 8, simply because, well, Lucas was tricksy and being a trick shot asshole. Didn't expect you to actually. He didn't expect to hit it, first off. Didn't expect you to catch it, second off. And currently he's a bit dizzy because he just went ahead and head banged a volleyball.
That seems fine.
1 success. not necessarily enough. You see Lucas go ahead and bring his arm out from behind his back, go ahead and rush off. But he tries to bring his left hand back into that position of bopping it over. But when he does so, apparently the ball just goes ahead and hits him right in the wrong way on his forearm, and it spins towards his open court rather than yours.
She will be deeply amused at the mad scramble. If only because she's seen him run so much, she can probably tell he's a bit dizzy.
Lucas to go ahead and shakes his arm. Okay. 10 serving 10. He rushes off to catch the volleyball back from where it's starting to bang off against the brick walls of the recreation center. Goes ahead and tosses it over.
And she shall catch it. And while she's walking back into place, she'll just offhand comment, "Hey, I don't guess you heard anything about the new guys, have you?"
Yeah. Hold on a second. Lucas is going to go ahead and walk over to Maeve, simply say, if you want to call us a tie, I can make something up.
Make something up.
Hold on. Goes ahead and points towards two officers of the law that are just sort of chilling about.
She nods. And she'll nod more firmly in following and offer him back the ball and say, "Yeah, we'll call it a tie."
Okay. Lucas is going to go ahead and walk towards a group of people. Look like lower income, very, very plain t-shirts, very, very plain short sports shorts, and long pants, sweatpants, whatever you want to call it, and sort of look at them. We so good? There's a very, very nasally and almost rat-like response. Yeah, boss, yeah. And he sort of gestures over towards the entrance. Cover us while we go ahead and have a conversation. Yeah, boss. Yes. And that particular group of people is going to go ahead and start to not necessarily create a distraction, but at least be the center of attention for a long ass time. Long enough to have a conversation so that, well, authorities aren't going to be looking in or listening in to this particular conversation. As Lucas is going to go ahead to the far side of the recreational area and sit on a bench.
And she'll follow along and look a little confused initially, but shrug, go on over, pop down.
Trick I learned long time ago on the streets. I should say on the road, but same difference.
She shrugs. So what's the deal? As much as you can say anyways.
Okay. You want to know the dealio?
Mm-hmm.
You're asking about the newcomers in town of your family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. From what I hear, very, very important, very, very well-to-do types, high-ranking, all the other good nonsense. They presented themselves to Xavier and Kachina earlier this morning. They said they wanted to talk to Mommy and Daddy. So, yeah. Names of, let's see. What were their names? I wrote those down somewhere. Gestures. Believe it's Aelin, Breath of the Hunt, Angus, Charge of Silver, Seamus, Silent Singer. Terrible with those names. Terrible with those names.
So they're more renowned members of the family?
Definitely. Very renowned members of the family, if I'm to be understanding it quite right. Seem to be staying at a local hotel. went ahead and told Mama and Daddy about it. Mommy gave me a pat, which was interesting.
Do you wanna maybe go back that way? Are they staying in the same place I am?
Goes ahead and shakes his head. No, they're staying at a local hotel, actually.
Like, oh, well, all right.
Yeah, they're not going to enter the park until they get an audience with Mommy and Daddy.
Any idea what they're visiting for?
Sort of shrugs. You hear the rumors
A little
floating
bit.
about?
Just a little. People keep giving me the side eye.
Two things. Could be they want to go ahead and look into you, see that you're taken care of, see that you're being educated, or they could be here for you to take you away.
She
so
knits her
that you
brow firmly.
I guess you're not too much into that, but I won't pry too much yet. Too many assumptions to be made here. Or they could be here to ask for help. I mean, from what I hear, your family has been stalking big bad monsters and having a few of their own places of power destroyed. So there you go.
Ooh. I really hope they're not here to collect me. I mean, it's not that I don't want to be around family, but making family here, I already have plans. I don't know if I really want to go.
I can certainly understand that, not wanting to go. Actually, no, I can't.
What? How could you not?
Well, you're talking to somebody who's never really had a very stable home for a very long time.
But I mean, would you really want to leave and not see me and not see Olaf or Ren or Garrett?
Well, when you say it like that, of course I want to stay.
Well,
Just not.
that's kind of my point. Like, this isn't family per se, this whole area, but I don't think I could go without seeing you guys.
Mm,
I'd
we
have to
certainly
start
don't
all
blame.
over.
And you think that's going to be hard? That's going to be too harsh? You don't want to do it?
She kind of like lofts a brow his way as though it's completely passing her how you couldn't think the same way. And she goes, "Well, I mean, think about it. I came here and there was a lot of hubbub, but you're the only one who actually talked to me for a long time. What happens if there isn't a Lucas at this new place?"
I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't say this. Yeah, there's only going to be one Lucas. Yeah, I'm here. I'm sure there's going to be other people back at their home across the sea, I would suspect, who also want to look after you, take care of you, give a shit about you. But yeah, there was only going to be one Lucas, just like there's only one Olaf.
I don't think there's going to be anyone else who has the nerve to climb in my window and keep me company.
At that, Lucas is going to go ahead and grab you and bring you into a big bear hug. Oh, yes.
She goes in for it. Yeah, I don't think I could. I mean, I'd love to visit my uncle, but I don't know if I could live there. Besides, with all the talk around here of me having to worry about getting treated like a princess and treated like I'm better than I am, I don't want to go to a place where that's true.
If you left us, if you went with those members of your family, yeah, that would definitely be an entire thing again.
Yeah. And like I said, I think the worst part is that if I went over there, it might actually be true.
And you don't want to be treated like that.
No.
Well, from where you come from the farm, I guess it'd be entirely different experience, and then maybe a little bit jarring.
She nods. I mean, I believe in pulling your weight. Getting treated like I'm something special just because of who I'm related to would be really weird. I haven't done anything that deserves that kind of ridiculous attention.
Hmm. He sort of nods his head. But you were born, at least. You exist, at least. Big fucking smile across his face.
And she'll match him with a broad smile of her own. Well, yeah, and that's good. I'll give myself credit for that. Did a good job of this whole living thing.
Mm-hmm. You're totally living right now. You're totally breathing. You can move. You can feed yourself.
Definitely achievements that I can claim.
Mm-hmm. You have the blood of your family running through you.
Good for me. It's the same color as yours.
No, mine is purple.
I thought all of ours was purple until it got, saw air or something.
Blue until it sees air.
Well, that. Why is yours purple? Don't be weird.
Purple is royalty. Oh, you think it's a laugh. But within my bloodline, there are several generations of princes and kings. And actually, they're called presidents and viceroys and counselors and elders, but pretty much the same thing.
Why don't they treat you like a little prince?
Illegitimate is one word to say it. The blood of my family does flow through me, but lineage isn't quite there. Can't quite trace it back to a place where it did hold any type of power or renown.
She sticks her tongue out.
Olaf told me once that he wanted to see into my heritage and see if I didn't come from any viceroy or king.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's after I stared him down. That was during a full moon when he was still full of the stuff.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Made an impression on him that day.
You're good at that.
Making an impression?
Yep.
Oh, I make terrible impressions.
You say that.
Oh, believe me. The first time that I talked to Miss Simon Harris, I stole one of her posters and replaced them with my own. I'm not going to say that it did not involve crayon, but it may have involved crayon.
But that's funny. Like, how can you get so mad?
How can you get so mad? Well, maybe there are a few people in this world that don't have the tolerance for certain sensitive humor. Maybe there are people in this world that just don't get humor. Maybe there are people in this world that hold themselves too tightly.
Probably. Oh, damn. Oh. So, would I be totally remiss if I said, hey, let's wander back towards our family and see if we can't nose around a little? You're probably better at it than I am. Be nosy. Nudge, nudge.
I'm already nosy enough, but okay, fine. We can go ahead and be nosy.
I'm gonna say, they're not even where I can meet them. I want to be nosy.
Let's see. Well, let's go ahead and let the officers go ahead and wander off after a few seconds. He looks at you.
Blink.
Really? You would miss all of us?
Huh?
You would miss all of us.
Well, yeah. Again, she's looking at him like it's such a matter of course that she can't believe he wouldn't think the exact same thing.
Lucas is looking back. He has a weird expression on his face. Doesn't really know how to express it. It's not that he looks blank. He definitely looks blank. Maybe you can see less emphasis upon that kind of value you're putting out there.
Just for funsies, let's see if how well she can read his face. It's not looking like, well, it's passable.
3 successes. You can tell he's had to have this question asked of him before, and he's actually answered it several different ways. He's currently wrestling with 2 answers to that question.
And she'll kind of look at him intently for a second and then say, Lucas, I couldn't go anywhere you weren't. Very matter-of-factly, not with some dramatic emotional overlay, but very, very matter-of-factly, very, very upfront, to the point that it might be a little jarring.
Is in fact a little jarring. Okay, sure. Big stupid smile is going to go ahead and start appear on his face.
She can't help but grin a bit after that. It's not easy.
It's not easy being you. It's not easy thinking about without me.
It's just that easy. That's it. I mean, I'd missed the others, but I couldn't.
Could not.
I couldn't do it. You're here, and we've spent so much time with Olaf and Garrett especially, just trying to help them, and I couldn't leave without finishing what I started. But I definitely couldn't go anywhere that you weren't going. Not forever. Not like that.
How about this, Maeve? I got no plans to go nowhere. I got no plans of going into the dirt. Heaven forbid.
Nah, not allowed. She just kind of waves it off. Nope, not allowed.
Not allowed, you say?
Yep.
What if I'm called?
Called to what?
Well, I've been called to this life. I might be called to put myself into danger. That could be lethal.
Then I will be there with you. And I will make sure you survive.
Oh, you will make sure I survive, or we will make sure we go down fighting together.
If we have to.
Fair enough. I agree to this arrangement.
This is not a suicide pact, waggles finger.
No, this is a living forever pack, of course.
Yep.
That being said, what do you think about, well, Olaf, Callie, Katori, they got their group. And I know Travis, Kachina, and Emmett's got their own group, and everybody else that's associated with those groups. What do you think about you and me trying to make our own group like that?
Oh yeah, you're doomed to it.
Dude!
Mm-hmm. You're stuck with me now.
Totally stuck. Makes a miming motion of a ball and chain connecting both of their ankles, trying to rip it apart. No! No!
Yeah, you're stuck.
Again, makes the miming motion of trying to struggle free with the one ankle staying exactly where it is. No! I'll say this much. Those 2 groups, the Hunters, the Striders, he says a little bit more low, they've got their own dynamic. They've got their own history. I'd rather make something new.
She nods firmly.
You know, we totally have to grab Garrett.
Oh yeah, he's stuck with us.
Yeah. Absolutely.
He'll fight the chain a little harder than you, but he's stuck with us.
I've seen the bloke. He'd suffer through it. But that's another thing.
Blink?
When you're talking to him, do you ever get the idea that he's got an issue with groups?
Well, yeah. I mean, he's got an issue with a lot of things. He's not comfortable with a lot of things. I mean, I remember asking him about Pack, and he just kept defaulting to saying he wouldn't know. I didn't get the impression that he didn't want to know, maybe. He acted that way, but the way a person acts and what they really mean are two very different things.
I guess so. Goes ahead and starts to twirl the volleyball just a bit in his own hands.
I already told him when he was talking to me about packs that if I had a pack, I would have him in it. And I mean it. And I'm going to do it. I don't think he knew, like, he did that whole playing it off all cool thing, playing it off like it didn't matter, but I don't think he felt that way. I think it mattered a lot.
Noddle, noddle, noddle,
I
noddle.
think that's why he acts like he doesn't like being around us. He likes it too much. Can't have people catching on.
Well, that man has an image to obtain, my good ma'am.
Hey, if he wants to pretend he doesn't like it, that's fine. As long as I know that he does. As long as I feel like he does. He can play the grudging, oh god. But, yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
He can act like the reluctant.
He can act like a reluctant chaperone if he wants, but he likes
has
it.
to be. Well, somebody has to be the adult, right?
Yep, and it's not going to be you, and it's not going to be me.
Could be the adult.
You?
Looks at you. I've been the adult before.
You're totally not the adult. Not when you have a choice.
Oh, of course not. When I've got a choice. No, Daddy, no. Actually think I'd like that kind of arrangement.
Yep.
That being said, what actually do you think about Olaf? He seems to be a guy that would never willingly go ahead and take leadership, but he has so many qualities that would make a good leader.
That's why we're not giving him a choice. He's going to be a leader. We already had this talk with him. It's happening.
Fair enough, fair enough. We did say that his old group would go ahead and want him to succeed.
Well, and I mean it. I mean, Katori cares. He does. And I can't imagine that Olaf would ever challenge him over leadership. So the only way it makes sense for him to be a leader is to be a leader of other people. And I think Katori would be proud of him.
Now, if he would stop falling on his goddamn sword.
I know, right?
That man thinks he's one in a million, and he might be one in a million back at his old place, back at his old home. But here, he's one of a kind.
Yes, that's a very good way to put it.
And you're one of a kind. Well, you're just one of a kind with a better, bigger search pattern.
She tilts her head a little bit.
You are one of a kind.
And she's turned faintly pink. It's not that bad, but he'd probably catch her ears turning pink. No, not that. The search pattern thing, you lost me.
Oh, you're one of a kind in a much larger range of things. You're one of a kind in a country, in a city, in a nation, in the world, actually.
And there's some awkward face. She's coping. She's flattered, but she's awkward. And it's not It's not. I'm just kind.
Kind.
That's.
Let me tell you this much. Kindness like yours, not common. Kindness coming from where you come from, not common.
Hmm. Well, maybe in the future we will see more of our people who were raised better and who were raised with more kindness and understand and appreciate the value of kindness.
uh, this world, it forces people to do things, and it's not a perfect environment. Nothing's ever a perfect environment. Maybe we just all got lucky to have you come aboard at the right time, from the right place. Maybe points upward, points downward. Maybe the powers to be know what they're doing.
I like to think so. And I
I
hope
like
I
that.
am what they need. I mean, otherwise, what am I even doing?
You, me, both. I don't know why I got conscripted into this insane war. Maybe I was always fighting this insane war without even realizing it. Eh, weird, weird thoughts, not to dwell on.
Yeah. I think you're good for him, though.
Good for who?
Everyone?
How so? I've seen you. I know what you do. I've heard of your good works. I've been the benefit of many of the good works that you've done. And I'm totally and utterly indebted to you. And it's one of the reasons I just can't. Again, it mimics the ankle chain. Get away from you!
Yeah, but I think if it had been different and you hadn't been here, I'd be different. And even I would have been harsher or hurt more. You have to be here to remind people to have a sense of humor. They don't all necessarily want to, and they may fight you a lot harder on it than I do, but you make people laugh, and that's important. And you make them maybe pause to think with the silly stuff you do, and that's important too. It's very important. I mean, look at Garrett. He does what he does, but it's not what you do.
I wasn't raised to be funny. Was just born funny.
Well, I'm glad.
What were you born as?
She shrugs. A baby? I mean, I am what I am.
You were born with your family's blood. I do know that much. That's evident enough.
She kind of rolls her eyes. I mean, yeah, but I was just born and raised as I am. I am as I've always been. Things are a little harder now, and my understanding has gotten a lot bigger, but I'm still me.
Mm, fair enough. Fair
Sometimes
enough.
you have to work hard. Sometimes you have to do chores and things and take responsibilities you don't want, but it's for the benefit of your family.
I think that's why you do well here, and I think that's why people gravitate to you.
You know, I kind of. It's not very modest, but I kind of hope they do. Because if they do, and if they like those traits, and if they want more of that, maybe they will become kinder themselves.
Much easier to congratulate somebody else on a good work, good and hard work they've already done to embark one yourself.
She nods. Yeah. But, I mean, I have plans. And they're big plans. They're impossibly big plans, but it's kind of sad that it would be that big and impossible, but I'm gonna make it better. I'm gonna make them better. One person at a time, if I have to.
Well, let me tell you this: you got all the time in the world, at least. Well, until about, he goes ahead and rounds off a few numbers. 30? Yeah, until 30.
It's not a lot of time.
It's a lifetime. And that's all we're given. That's all anybody is given, a lifetime.
She wrinkles her nose.
It's true. Everybody gets a lifetime. I actually don't know if that is a song. Excuse me. Sounds like a good song.
It sounds good. I'll take it.
You have a lifetime. I have a lifetime. They all got a lifetime. They're going to do silly and crazy, insane shit. And when it all bangs out, we'll have the next generation.
Ugh. Jenna wrinkles her nose and decides to distract herself by glancing to the door to see if anyone's returning or anything like that. But
At this point, most of the authorities and officers are starting to actually, they've gone ahead and disappeared, and the the afternoon crew is sort of settling back down with thinking they've done a job well done.
and it's pushing about that time, isn't it?
Hmm.
Ugh.
Don't really like the way this curfew is starting to affect things, but we gotta live with it.
I mean, at least we have ways to get around it.
Mhm.
Otherwise, yeah, it would be a lot worse.
So, if you want to go back to the family, we can certainly do that. There's a rest station over there.
Yeah, let's go do that. I don't know if I want to necessarily go back to Travis's, because, well, do you think he'll know anything?
About your family and what's going on?
Yep.
Uh, couldn't hurt to ask. The only reason I knew is because they brought me in for the defense. And I get passed around certain messages. Like I said, I delivered mother a little, like I said, I delivered mom a little message, and I got a pat for my troubles.
I still want to meet her eventually. I mean, things are crazy now, but eventually.
Mother L is a very interesting character. Says kitty a lot. Crackles a hilarious laughter.
She sounds nice enough.
She does watch over everybody. And
Yep.
she is the biggest predator of New York, don't get me wrong.
That's not a bad thing, so. I mean, I could think of worse people to be in charge.
Do you know what I envy about you?
Hmm?
Besides the wonderfully brilliant red hair, the blue eyes, the unblemished complexion, the wafy-like nature that you attract all of the fine gentlemen.
You know, you say that, but up until recently, that wasn't a thing. I'm just kind of a scrawny farm girl.
Besides that, you know where you come from.
She shrugs. She's not grasping it, apparently, at least not initially. Though with a moment or two of thought, she'll start to kind of turn more pensive. Do you not? Like at all?
My people's history, my bloodline, not well known. Very hard to find very hard to find any information. Hasn't really been a priority in my life for a very long time. But now that I'm sort of like settling around, now that the change happened, got more interested in it.
I'm sure you'll find something. I'll help.
Goes ahead and nods. Yeah, yeah. I'm not going to be one of those people that's always pining after where I came from. I know where I came from. I know my family. I know who my family was and who my family is right now, and who I hope might be my family in the future.
She's nodding along, though the last bit draws a very fleeting kind of pensive glance.
What's wrong?
Nothing.
What's wrong?
Nothing's wrong. Why do things have to
Poke,
be wrong all the time?
poke, poke, poke.
Ah! Bats those hands.
You had a thought.
I always have thoughts. I never don't have thoughts.
Really? That must get really, really tiresome.
Yep. And more than thoughts, I usually have worries, but how can you be in a big family like this and not worry? And she'll kind of gesture to the park as a whole.
Hmm. And as they're walking towards the restroom area, what are you most worried about?
Hmm. How much. I don't worry about the battles we have to fight because that's what we have to do, but I worry about how it affects them and how much each of them hurts. The more people I meet, the more I realize that all of them hurt in their own way. And I worry about them. How can you go into something like that and not feel like you have something good to come back to or to fight for? Like, if you don't feel like that'll bring you any relief, makes pointing or makes fighting feel kind of pointless.
Hmm. True. True. There's a place that you can get to in life where you're simply doing everything by rote action. You can you can really, and I've seen it before, you can really fool a lot of people into believing that there's nothing wrong.
No, I'm not as easily fooled as most people are.
Fair enough, young lady. If you really think you're up to the task, then the entire park is your oyster.
I mean, I have to be. Nobody else seems to be.
And when you're taking care of everybody and people forget about you, I'll be there.
I was gonna say, you're never gonna forget.
I'll never forget about you, at least.
And she smiles a bit. Hmm. So, where shall we hunker in, as it were?
Well, what I want to do is I want to check on Puka, actually, see that, is it a she? Yeah. I'm gonna check to make sure that she's got her pin all set up. And I don't know, for some reason, Kalani has been hunkered at the bottom of that hutch for at least 3 days. Haven't asked many questions, just dropped
Blink.
a few breadcrumbs down there every so often.
Yeah, maybe we should go check on Puka. Besides, holding a
Yeah,
bunny is always the best thing.
it is always the best thing.
Makes everything better.
Everything better.
Oh, I need to find. Oh, maybe when I learn. Oh, yes. I'm summoning Meat Lord. It's happening.
Meat Lord, Meat Lord, Meat Lord.
I think that's what Callie called him.
Callie.
He's a golden retriever.
As Lucas is gonna go ahead and drop into the men's restroom, look at the reflective surface of the mirror, go through each and every single stall first to make sure he's utterly alone, and then look back at the mirror, side step into the umbra.
She'll do much the same. Or more likely, there are women about, so she'll go on, wander into a stall, pull out her compact. No one pays attention in a bathroom how many people are coming and going. And she'll whiff out.
Whoosh,
Just like that.
into the penumbral reflection of the park, which is all wild and crazy and all that fantastic nonsense. You find yourself in a primordial jungle with jaguars all screaming about.
She likes it.
Ah. Gonna return back to Maeve. Gonna take her hand, start leading off.
Sounds good to me.
Let's see. Talk about your family. Talk about the new pack we want to create. Oh yeah, right.
Blink?
Maeve, I got several freaking excellent and incredibly brilliant ideas I must share with you.
Yes, share them with me.
You know what we need?
What?
We need to get wings.
Can we do that?
I saw Xavier have wings.
He does?
Oh yeah, he has wings.
Like here?
Yeah, and here, sort of gesturing around. He's got wings here. I want to get those wings. I want to be able to fly. Well, just for the kick-assness of flying, as well as to investigate that satellite that's like up there that nobody has dealt with.
That is a good idea. Oh my gosh, we need wings.
Exactly.
Because I'm going with you.
Goes ahead and looks back. You're not a Ragabash.
No. But I still want to go. Besides, I need to keep you from doing stupid things.
Oh, just going there is going to be utterly stupid. I mean, I don't even think they'll let me go.
Well, I mean, they can't tell you no if you don't ask.
No, that is definitely the caveat, but they can definitely get
I mean,
angry
if,
should I
if
come back.
we're going up, is that technically leaving a sept?
I don't know if the Sept has an airspace attached to it.
Clearly it does. It's a massive airspace from Nod.
The satellite is nowhere near the airspace of Central Park.
Shh. Don't ruin it.
Although, if I did leave by air, I'm not sure if any of the wards would catch me.
Probably not. Do they have wards in the air? Or are they all at ground level?
That is definitely something to ask. Do they have wards below ground level?
Ooh, that's a good point.
So, if
That's
I
a
can't,
thing we should probably suggest after we're done doing stuff we're not supposed to do.
or we could simply keep this as our little tiny little itty bitty secret when we want to do things they don't want us to do.
Well, at least for the below ground ones, we should probably suggest that. You know, just in case.
Have a think or two about it, at least.
Yeah.
Oh, have you actually been in the underground of New York City?
No? Is there
Oh,
like
God.
an underground thing? Like tunnels or?
Oh, get this. He starts to make a mental map with all the different layers attached to it. Okay, so you got ground level, right?
Well, yeah.
The important thing to understand is that ground level has actually been raised quite a few stories over the centuries that New York has been in existence, right?
No. Okay.
So a few stories down, actually, you have the base level for the city in like the 1920s, 1930s, all that other good honky horse shit when the Industrial Revolution was just starting up and huge, major infrastructure efforts were being made.
Okay. I guess.
Now, another important thing to understand is as far high up as you build up, you also have to build down. So a two-story house may have a foundation, and a three-story house may have foundation and a basement level. And the taller buildings that you make, the more foundation you have to put underneath, especially if you're accounting for environmental hazards like hurricanes or earthquakes or all the other good honky horse shit. And guess how far down? Goes ahead and points outside the bond of the Septa Green, where all the spires are currently creating a gigantic fucking web all over the skyscrapers. Guess how far down they have to build down to create something like that.
And she kind of blinks and she looks back at him and looks at it. Is it like? It feels almost like it would look like a reflection on water.
Points to you. It's almost like that.
That's pretty cool.
Mhm. Most of the time, they just go ahead and put in, well, parking garages and like underneath the ground because that's just convenient and it has a nice utility to it. But also, they have all of the utilities actually: gas, heating, water, everything. I mean, if you look at the spine of a building, and by the spine of the building, I mean that central column that goes all the way up towards the penthouse and all the way down towards every single sub basement, all the utilities. He's like gesturing, all the utilities of that building are ran through that spine. If you can get into that spine, guess what? You can get to any part of that building.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow, that's actually really cool.
yeah. I learned that from an old friend once upon a time.
So, are there as many spiders and stuff down in there?
I can only assume so. I mean, I haven't rooted around in a penumbra within the spine of a building. I would assume it's just one big ass column of those things.
Wrinkles her nose. What are the subways like?
Subways are, well, they're huge columns, huge corridors underneath the ground. Look up a subway map when you get the chance. It's a fantastic resource. They are connected below all the regular utilities and just above some other utilities. Um, Mass transit, subways are actually kind of crap, but they perform a public service. That's why they're still up and operational and running. Below
So,
that,
if we're here,
Mhm,
and kind of gestures around. So if we're here
mhm.
and we're in one of the subways, do we have to worry about things like the trains running? Like,
The trains, no. The penumbral reflections of the trains, oh hell yeah.
what are they? What would that even look like? I mean, does it just look like a train?
Think about a train that has been on the tracks for far, far too long. Think about all the entropic forces upon a train, mutate it, corrupt it a little bit, because the worms is always going to be somewhere around in there. Not that big, big worm, but just a little tiny bit. And you can definitely think that the Weaver and all the spiders are going to go ahead and have a hand in it. Imagine, goes ahead and points beyond the bond again. Imagine one of those big ass spiders just tearing through the underground.
Ugh.
Yeah.
She actually like gives a shudder. Like, oh no, I think I'll just not ever think about that again. Ugh,
I'm
that
sorry.
would be the worst thing.
I'm sorry. Did I bring up a bad memory?
Oh, it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't that bad. They're big and they're scary, but ugh, like just racing around as fast as the subway does. That would be terrible. I was just trying to figure out if we could go through the tunnels and not have to worry about that, but that's worse than getting hit by a train.
I know. Often enough in cities, the phenomenal reflection is no home to us. That being said, I mentioned the utilities, right?
Mm-hmm. Lots of times. You sound like a straight up terrorist. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm not going to say that I haven't had to use this knowledge once or twice before for purposes that the mainstream public would not wish. Sort of leaves that sentence out there for a second.
Yep. She'll just let it. She'll let it hang there.
But I'll tell you this much. The more you know about the infrastructure of a city, especially one you're living in, the more enlightened you'll be. Because, like I said, this city is built upon layers and layers and layers, and they didn't do it purposefully. I mean, they did it purposely, but more often enough, there are giant freaking holes in people's understanding of the underground. I mean, there are underground cities, there are underground bunkers, there are World War II bunkers just laying around if you know where to find them. I once saw a documentary of the same kind of thing in Perth, Australia, actually. Smaller bunkers, but still there. It was outrageous. And get this, there used to be rivers in New York City on Manhattan Island. The rivers didn't go away. They just went ahead and brought them underground.
Wow.
There are entire corridors filled with a moving, living water stream.
Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna get a subway map. That part sounds easy. The rest of it sounds a lot harder to get maps of, but
When I first got into the city, that was what I was supposed to do. Find out as much as I could about the underground. And I did. And I'm going to see how much of that information I can actually use. Because get this, not only do we have underground water, not only do we have underground service stations, but we have, get this, entire corridors that had been blocked off. Let me tell you this. There used to be a huge, huge effort to get underground corridors for coal, to fetch coal to and from, into and out of the city. Well, more into the city to go ahead and start to burn all those furnaces. But just about the time that they went ahead and completed that project, gas heating was all the rage, much easier to implement. So what do you think they did with all those corridors? They didn't repurpose them. They sealed them off.
wow.
They're still down there.
So you said there's literally like whole cities under there.
Pretty much.
Can we see it, or would there be like horrible, horrible things down there?
Here's what I suggest. Talk to the Bonars. The Bonars have been in this city the longest. They have seen it grown. In fact, I'm pretty damn sure a few of their kin were responsible for making sure, or at least not making sure, but being put to use as labor during the skyscraper movement.
I mean, are there any here besides Mother Larissa?
Um,
I've never met one.
no Garu that I know of, and that is a disappointment. This sept is a Bonar sept. I don't know personally any Bonar Garu, but they've got to be around here. I know a lot more about the kin Bonars.
Well, even the kin who've been around, wouldn't they know the same sort of things?
Oh yeah, and much more, I would assume. They could probably direct you towards the underground. Probably know a lot more of the residents of the underground, because believe me, things live down there. Of course things live down there.
She'll kind of purse her lips thoughtfully. Do you think they'd even tell us if it was not dangerous?
Our people, they would definitely tell you that it was dangerous. To get them to actually escort you down there or give you a tour, they'd probably do it, but they'd probably ask for something in return.
Like what?
A favor.
I have read whole stories and tales upon myths about how you don't give people unqualified favors. Unquantified favors.
Oh. Um. Blink, blink.
Like that's begging to end in tears.
At this moment in time, Lucas is actually getting very dead quiet.
Maeve is going to also get quiet as there is a howl going out over the sept. And slowly get pale. Very, very pale.
A heavy tone howl goes over the sept. It is filled with sadness and self-loathing. Our warder, Vigilant Bow, has lost her life defending the ones below her as a true Adden and warder. She died a true daughter of Pegasus. All remember her as a great Garyu she is. The voice starts to shake and crackle, then slowly disappears. Let it also be known, there's a follow-up, that the Black Spiral was engulfed in flames and reduced to ash, his soul cast to the pits of oblivion. This one, the first being by Xavier Wazir, Man of Mystery, Called by Darkness. The last one being howled out by, Mikhail, the Shadow Lord Philodox, with great aspirations. He's gonna go ahead and sit down for a second. Lucas
Maeve
is
is,
sit
yeah,
down for a second.
she's going to go pale as she starts realizing, because they didn't use the deed names but so much. But she's gonna go pale, really pale, and then her knees are just pretty much gonna give, and she's gonna buckle down and sit very abruptly. She'll kind of grab Lucas's shoulder, and Lucas, that doesn't mean Callie does it.
Goes ahead and nods.
Yeah, her eyes are already full. It's kind of like it's not the 2-year-old wind up where they start sucking air in preparation to start screaming, but it's very similar. This is the wind up for a complete meltdown. He can see it just going over her face, and knowing everything else, she might see it starting on his.
Lucas was not as close to our dear warder as Maeve here might be, but he does recognize that she was a Garu of station and full of respect, and, well, gave him a little bit of respect when he was on the outs and outs. Lucas is going to go ahead and mimic that night at the carousel, actually, and come back behind and around Maeve.
And she's going to nestle back into him, and presuming he has his arms around her again, is going to wrap hers around his and bow her head into him and just start sobbing.
I'll go ahead and give Coos, let it out, let it out.
It's going to be pretty vicious. It's like she's cried before, but this isn't like this is the kind of sobbing that racks your entire body.
Let it out, let it out, let it out.
There's some babbling in there, but she's not forming words very well. It's probably very nonsensical. And she'll just kind of shake with the force of her cries, and much as before, given some time, it'll peter out some. But she's still very shaken, and even when it gets to the point where it's tears without accompanying noisy sobs or noises, she's just going to stay tightly wrapped in his arms and almost desperately hugging the arms around her.
Lucas doesn't have much, doesn't want to say much. Really doesn't want to say much. It's a very, very sad time. Not necessarily towards him, but towards somebody that he actually cares about.
She'll come around with enough time to the point where she's snuffling and making those token attempts to compose herself. Ugh, real life tears, blowing nose. Whew, I wasn't ready for that. So she'll she'll eventually calm down some, but even when she's calmed, even when her grip like laxes, she's not gonna show any proclivity to move. She's just going to kind of lay back against him and take to looking up and just kind of wandering her mind, and she'll probably still have several periods where she starts kind of sputtering and immediately go into the process of snuffling and trying to get herself under control again, but he will probably be stuck there for a long while. A long while she does her best to get her shit together.
Lucas will definitely let her get her shit together. Not gonna move. He's just gonna be there. He's gonna be a support. Gonna let her try to dig out, or at least feel that pain and that anguish towards somebody that she knew, she cared about, and now no longer with us.
She'll eventually turn herself around some and hug him very tightly, very closely. She keeps the sputtering to a minimum, but she just holds tightly for a long couple minutes before she'll loosen up and go back to kind of rubbing at her eyes and trying to clear her face up some.
Bad news.
Yeah. And she'll kind of look out in the direction that the howl came from, the rough direction.
There'll be a ceremony to honor her. There'll be a very, very long period. I don't even know if we're still going to be in wartime.
She'll well with tears, but lock it down. Keep from overflowing this time. Nod a little bit.
We got one, and they got one of ours, a good one of ours, I'd have to say. I don't count this as a fucking win.
She shakes her head very rapidly. And eventually she'll just kind of whimper out something along the lines of, well, I, I don't know where to go.
You have a place with me.
And that is the perfect answer. And she'll, again, kind of go through the motions of wiping the excess tears from her eyes and essentially take up the stiff upper lip sort of expression. I mean, she's not crying, and that's good. You can tell that she's not far from it, but she's making an effort. Yeah.
A lot of people are going to have a lot of different reactions. A lot of people are going to start maneuvering. Maybe not quickly. I mean, this is a winter season. There'll be a period of mourning. She was, she's a hero. All faults aside, She was either a hero or she was a martyr, and you know what? Either is good enough for right now. There's no way I can't say I'm not gonna miss her.
And Maeve is again. There's several periods where she's really struggling, but she's keeping it together, just barely.
I'm sorry that you have to go through this. I'm sorry that somebody that was close to you was taken from you.
And in favor of not bursting out again, she won't say anything, but she nods a little bit. It's a weak little bob.
Would have if I could have kept this away from you.
And she kind of scrubs her eyes and goes, I would have found out eventually. Everyone
Would have.
talks to me about all sorts of stupid things that don't matter.
This does matter. This does matter because it's this does matter because she's gone and it hurts you. This is something that actually truly fucking matters.
And
This is the
she'll
one.
again not very very weakly, but she manages to convey.
Who is Warder now? Emmett Wilson. Emmett Wilson is now Warder. Fuck. Decision of Wormfoe to be determined. Shit.
She's admittedly not paying much attention to the underlying issues. She's just dwelling on it.
How. What do you want to do?
I don't know.
You just want to stay here?
And she'll kind of glance around. We should probably go somewhere.
We can find a place to go that nobody's gonna bother us.
And she is blatantly lacking any sort of direction, so she'll just kind of nod and go along with whatever idea comes up first.
Well, idea that comes up first, at least in Lucas's mind, is back towards the conservatory, because that's just simply where he goes to when he wants to be alone.
That is a startlingly good answer. So, especially if he mentions the conservatory, she'll gain a little more enthusiasm in her nods and slowly go about getting herself off the ground.
The way Lucas escorts Maeve now is different from the way he did before. When he did before, it was just simply grab your hand and start trotting along, running as fast as fucking possible. This is just more, more comforting, more supportive, arm around the waist more than anything else. As we're probably going to go wander through the penumbra, probably pass a few of the other Garu and who may notice, may not, a few of the spirits that are also starting to mourn because, well, the spirits around here knew Kali Krykos Village and Blow as the keeper of a land for a very, very long time. Probably knew these spirits, at least a few of them by name, and they're starting to wilt. They're starting to pull into themselves. Hell, even a few of the darkness spirits, even a few of the dove spirits, even a few of the raven spirits. They're all sort of roosting in, starting to pull into themselves just a little tiny bit. just in reverence towards this Skyru that has fallen.
And it'll be one of those things where it may take a hot second. For the most part, she's able to walk along and take solace in the arm and probably even lean into him a little bit. Not enough to make walking awkward, but she's huddling very close and coming across others who are going through their pain or just bypassing them even at a distance. It shakes her, but for the most part she'll just set a hand over her mouth and just kind of muscle along. If there are spirits more directly in their route, uh, she might try to respond to them or react to them simply out of sympathy, but most likely the best mode of transportation is going to be keeping her as far from the other suffering peoples as possible, at least to get as far as the conservatory.
Mm-hmm. And as you reach the conservatory, you are, well, sort of flocked by the dove spirits. They've noticed you. They've had this habit before for at least a few days now of you walking up to them, giving them the chimnage, and them going off and doing your charges. This time they don't actually flock around you. They do so, but they don't chirp. They don't chirp happily. They chirp reassuringly. They don't chirp. They coo. Actually, they surround you and Lucas, and they expend just a little bit of themselves. You have a little bit of a calming and soothing aura to them.
And it's a good thing they do, because they very neatly manage to prevent another outright breakdown. Though she will accept any that come to land upon her with tears in her eyes, and very probably have at least one held near and very, very gently stroked, but she welcomes the sympathetic entourage, as it were.
The benefits of dove spirits, showing the worth.
And at least she'll be able to, once they've been joined by the flock, she'll be able to compose herself better. She's still sad, but it's not one of those things that just sends her into racking sobs and further torment. She just is sad, and there will still be tears that fall down her face, but she does so with far greater composure.
They care about you.
Is this Lucas saying it, or are you
Yes.
stating a fact?
This is Lucas saying it.
She just kind of looks at him and looks. She manages a very faint smile and says, "They're very sweet."
They care about all children of Gaia. No matter if they follow Stag, or Unicorn, Pegasus, or anybody else. Don't let it get around. People get offended when you call them children of Gaia.
And she just kind of shrugs and says, "All are of Gaia." It shouldn't be
True.
seen as an insult.
True.
And she'll meander in back towards that central point, just because she always tends to linger if she's in there around that little clearing in the altar. And she'll head that way just out of kind of rote habit and hunker down in the grass.
Lucas will definitely start to trail you, start to follow you, letting you take direction for the moment.
Yeah, she just meanders to the comfortable, familiar spot, and she settles down into the grass. And with that many doves flocking around them, she doesn't suffer a breakdown, but she does just kind of sit there. It's almost blank. She's still sad. She's just for the sake of seeing how bad it is, because she is quite expressive.
Do 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 do. You might be at difficulty of 8 depending on what you're doing.
It's not her trying to do anything. It's just the simple her state. Like, she's one of those people who is very empathetic and very expressive. So she's not trying to do anything, but it's very possible that she's being so sad that she kind of almost has an effect on the area. Like, it's very clearly emoted. Not as clearly as I was scared it was going to be, but I wanted to see.
You are clearly emoting and clearly expressing your distress.
Yes.
Oh, the spirits definitely recognize that emoting. They're still giving that calming aura. And a few of them are going to start to chirp, start to say in their little language that you can understand. This is a sanctuary. When you are ready, you may leave it, and you may face the world again.
And it's a shame she can't hug birds. That doesn't go across real well, but she does mutter a thank you, and she does manage to at least offer it a light stroke on its back, and just, it's, you can feel the weight of her thanks, her true appreciation for the offering, and she'll just kind of linger there, at least for a while, perhaps a very long while.
And Lucas is not going to do anything. I'm going to let you have your moment. Or moments. Or a fairly long minute.
It will be a hot second indeed. She'll probably just kind of settle in with her back. I assume the altar, you said it was kind of a platform, so it's very stable.
Yep.
So she will probably settle in with her back pressed to the altar and just kind of look out around the conservatory and take some reassurance in not just the life that's there, but the fact that it's such a wild, unbridled life.
Yeah, Lucas is just going to go ahead and nestle up next to you with his back also on the altar. It's a nice place, isn't it?
And she nods. I like
Simple.
it here.
Yeah. Simple. Calm. Quiet. Out of the way. Nobody notices you when you're here. Nobody cares when you're here. Place to escape.
Nods along.
Place to escape. Place to just not give a rat's ass about what's out there. You, my dear Maeve, have found a small sanctuary here. Small sanctuary in the big, big world. It's... Think back to your home. You know, I took a quick trip out there. It was nice. It was calm. It was away from all the bustle and hustle and activity. You know, your father has this fantastic, strong chin.
That kind of shakes her for a second. She was kind of drifting and half listening, but that kind of brings her around and makes her, it startles a laugh out of her. What?
And your mother certainly has a wonderful form to her. Some would say pear form, but you know what? Getting on in years, a pear form is not a bad form to have.
You're crazy.
And you would not have me any other way.
Yeah. I see what you're doing.
I'm not doing anything.
I don't want it to, but it's working. Keep doing it.
You really, you know what I should do? We should do, or at least I
What?
should do once I get a chance and I escape and they can't find me. I need to bring you back that freaking wonderful cornbread. Your mother makes absolutely fantastic cornbread. You do know that, right?
She does. She does.
And biscuits and gravy. And I did not know this, but apparently you can make your own deep fried chicken. I did not know this. Your father is fantastic at that grill and that deep fryer.
You didn't know that? Where do you think those recipes started?
He goes ahead and shrugs. I don't know. I've never looked at a deep fryer. I've never gone back to the back of a KFC and wondered, oh, how does this work?
I wish I could just go home. Just for a little bit.
I know you do. You were saying so before.
Well, it was kind of a fond wish, and then I thought that maybe it was a place to run away to, and now I just for a little bit. I just kind of want to go home. Where things are normal.
Oh, you're gonna make me laugh cry now.
I know it's kind of a weird thought for you maybe, but it was just normal.
What's so bad about wanting to go home where things are normal, where things are predictable, where things are like like standard? What's so wrong about that? I mean, I'm not gonna fault you for that. I'm gonna envy you for that for as long as fucking possible. But that's not wrong. That's totally not wrong at all. It was safe. It was normal. It was standard. You knew what you were. You knew what was expected. Here is different. Here is strange. Here, responsibilities get heaped on you.
I don't know what to do here. I know if I go home, my mom will hug me until I stop crying. She'll make the most ridiculously gigantic dinner to try to get me to eat. Dad'll tell me stories so that I stop thinking about it.
Is that so bad to want that?
No.
Is it going to be terrible if you don't have that?
Maybe.
Then let me go ahead and tell the stories.
She'll nod. Nestle into his side. Story time.
I once knew a man from Nantucket. He, for his part, was a wonderful traveler, traveled pretty much everywhere in the world. And one day he got lost. Not because he knew where he was going, not because he didn't know where he was going, but because he lost his home. He didn't know where to go anymore. And some say that he never had a home, or some say that he forsook his home, and some say that he actually made his home for himself because as he got more and more lost, what he found was more and more people willing to flock with him. He was responsible. He cared about the people around him, made sure they were well taken care of, husbanded them, well, in a manner of speaking. Pretty soon he got so good at it that an entire village wanted to follow him. And as much as he would take him, he knew that he could not possibly. And the village elders, for their part, knew that that was impossible as well. But he was a man of a kind heart, well-traveled, very responsible. So what happened was that the entire village was sectioned off into 4 parts. Because the village was not long at all. Very, very soon the winter would come, and the village would be drowned out. Absolutely, completely. It would be under 6 feet of snow. So a fourth of them went with him. A fourth of them went north. A fourth of them went south. A fourth of them went east. And a fourth of them went west. And you know what that man found? That man found out that as long as he worked hard, as long as he looked at the people around him, as long as he depended upon them, he knew that they were family. And he knew that no matter how lost he got, no matter where he went, no matter where he wandered, he would find a home where his family was. Through trial and tribulation, he found home again and again. In the face of gunfire, in the face of fire, in the face of storm and drought, in the face of hunters, in the face of all terrible things, he found home again and again within the faces of his family. Are you there, Maeve? Shake, shake. Hmm.
Oh, sorry, I'm talking to myself. She
Obviously.
she uh she responds and kind of snickers a little bit at the shake, but it eventually just kind of dwindles and goes, "This is pretty much the worst thing ever."
I'm sorry. I'm sorry you lost somebody. Very sorry you lost somebody.
You think it wouldn't be this bad? I mean, we've only known her like a month.
You knew her for a month, but she offered you a lot. She offered you a place to sleep. She offered you her home, her family, her pack. She offered you quite a lot. I can't blame you for feeling it, that loss. And like I said, I would have kept this away from you for as long as possible. I don't know what to say. I mean, I could try to tell you how it was like for me.
Blink.
I could try.
Yeah.
Very bad, 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 bad memories. Um, right. Back at the Septic Clearwaters. Because this is the only way I'm going to start this story. I want to start it someplace else, but this is where I'm starting it. Back at the Septic Clearwaters, it's a place like this. Very big, very open, not surrounded by a city, which was a benefit. But it was a child's guy sept. I grew up with the tribe. I grew up with its values and everything associated with it. Love, free love, hippie crap, all that other good nonsense. Hell, I remember attending a few drum circles in my time,
It sounds
and
nice.
it was absolutely fucking delightful. I felt safe. I felt at home. I felt like I had a family. And I felt like I would have those days forever, never, 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 ever. And then the old companies came in. Enron came in and started to go aggressively acquire the land around us until we were pretty much kicked out. And I remember not only the mundane companies starting to buy us out, but I remember when the spiritual wards started to ping off repeatedly, telling us about all manners of different threats around us that were being cropped up by that oil company's involvement. And I remember looking at everybody being lost, absolutely lost. We did not want war, but the war had come to us, and we had to make very, very terrible decisions. Some would say that those decisions were terrible and awful. Some say that they were unwise, but we had to make those decisions anyways. The elders lost some people. We all lost some people. And I have to say that was the first time I ever felt any kind of loss like that. I was kind of young, so I didn't really appreciate all of it. A few years later, I realized what happened. But I do remember it all changing. I do remember being thrown, not away, but thrown out into the big world without understanding everything being strange, new, nothing being certain. I imagine that's what you're going through right now. Things strange, uncertain, loss. Please tell me if I'm wrong.
No, that's pretty right.
It'll always hurt, and you'll always feel it. But you'll understand it, and you'll learn how to deal with it. But it will always hurt. And I'm sorry, Maeve. But I'm glad.
Blink?
I'm glad I was here when it happened.
Yeah, I am too. And I'm really, really glad that we were here. And kind of waves idly around.
This is what my tribe's supposed to do. I can't do it myself, or at least I didn't. I know the importance of it, but I didn't grow up with that skill set. At least not skilled in that skill set. That's probably more Rin's territory. And I'm glad that Rin is back. Very glad that Rin is back.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm talking about more about me than you. I'm sorry.
No,
It's not usually what
good.
happens.
It's fine.
Huh?
If I start talking about it again, I'll just start crying again.
Okay, we'll talk about everything else.
Yep. What?
See?
I'm she'll kind of look at him and just go, where do you think Katori is? And Olaf.
Do you want to call him over? Call him over. Olaf? I don't know.
I don't have anyone's number.
I can give him a text really quickly.
Just make sure he's okay.
Sure.
And I assume they should eventually step out of the Umbra if they haven't already. If they did, I totally wasn't paying attention.
Totally can do that.
Yes.
And if we want to, we
She'll
could
look into her own glistening tears and sidestep on the reflection. Sorry.
You get offered a napkin.
Oh, that's good. Because she
And
probably desperately needs to blow her nose at this point.
well, apparently there is something that is happening over here.
Mm-hmm.
So what we could do is go ahead and in this scene hop over there if we want to.
I think that may be the better part of Valor.
Yes. All right then. Go ahead and give us the closing.
And on these sad, sad events, we come to the end of another scene for Rage Across New York, Living World of Darkness. Thank you, watchers, for watching. Thank you, player, for playing. Everybody go blow your nose now. Gosh.